So, natural language processing with Drupal. Welcome. Hmm? Ah, all right. This is double. Oh no, we first thank our sponsors. Calibrate, Drop Solid for being our platinum sponsors. That's why I mentioned them. Next ones are all the gold sponsors. No, it's going really too fast. Let me check. Oh, maybe I didn't copy the other one. Anyway, today, with all the gold sponsors as well, well appreciated. Due to thanks to you, the great organization team, and all of you sitting here and going around and contributing in the sprint rooms, this is possible. And I'm really happy to see this happening after 2 years of Netflixing in yeah, Zoom meetings and all kinds of other platforms where I don't see you. No, we're all watching the same thing. So I'm going to explain a little bit, first a bit about me, then the topic itself, Elasticsearch, some kind of a idea to get to a solution on utilizing that. I will not provide the solution, but just some hand openers and eye openers so that you can decide upon what you want to use and how you want to approach it. And then something completely different. Experiencing what you could call a midlife crisis in a positive way, but later about that. And then I'm going to highlight some other events which are going to happen in Europe pretty soon, as well as one online. So let's get started. Ah, there you are. You just moved a little bit. The gold sponsors. So I'm Flores, and I started off going to my first DrupalCon in 2010 in Copenhagen. I took the car, drove there, and at the time I was starting to build websites for people with little companies and ideas. And when I got there, I was like embraced in a warm bath of the community. So I stuck around, and I'm still here, not leaving. However, meanwhile, quite some things happened. We're the maintainer of the RocketChat module as well as the Jitsi Meet module. On the latter, there is an idea to go for native integration so that instead of controlling a JavaScript API, it can be done natively inside the Drupal. So for that, we're still looking for help. And I've been participating in these international conferences in Drupal as well as other open sources since 2010. Since 2014, I've been talking there every now and then, and the last few years before Corona, quite a lot. And so, yeah, with that comes co-organizing, because these conferences are really fun to do. And then if you can join a team and are eager to help out, it's even more fun. So that led to that in 2018, there was no DrupalCon in Europe. So together with 7 other people, we each took half a year out of our lives, put it all together, and made it happen. We couldn't do it just with our 7. No, there was like 40 people coming on site to volunteer and to make everything streamlined and everything functioning as it's supposed to be functioning. And I'm a cross open source fanatic, evangelist. So not just Drupal, but I'm particularly interested in how open source can collaborate and work together to bring that total ecosystem to the next level. So doing that, there was this Mautic, which who here knows what it is? Mautic? 1, 2, 3? Okay. So about 10% of the audience. And it is something like Drupal. It's also based on PHP. However, instead of managing content, you're managing leads. So there is a funnel from everybody that might be visiting your site, which goes down until the point where somebody is actually a customer or is participating within your network. And I think it was really interesting to see this bootstrap from something which open source was sold to a company, Acquia, and then a new model was needed. So what happened is that Acquia was doing the legal, the sales, and all these things which are important for maintaining the ecosystem, and left enough room for people from the community to actually start organizing events, work on the issues, work on the tutorials and all that stuff. And it's a really, in my opinion, it's a school book model on how corporations and like economics and open source and social can embrace each other and make a better solution than just us programming something, putting it online and saying, oh, great, we're done. So, all right. And meanwhile, I've been playing around with DevOps and translating between business requirements and people who actually make the software work. Yeah. Oh, great. So, cross open source. Why and how? Why do you want to go cross open source? Drupal itself is enough, no? Well, it is if you would just want to have a fully fledged Swiss Army knife as a CMS that can do all kinds of nice tricks. However, there's more than that. There's a lot of data flowing around. I hope not all of you, but about everybody in the world is only looking currently like this with their little phones and interacting, calling it social media. So having the ability to get data from one system to another and do that in a smart way is, in my opinion, a must-have. We see that it's possible already between Mautic and Drupal. So you can get this Mautic module inside your Drupal project, configure that to talk to the Mautic API. And in that way, when somebody hits your site, you can track the person and funnel them and make the groups of people that are actually engaging with. And the next level would be to make those engagements really personalized, because you know more and more about what people are actually might be interested in to see and get from your website and your services. There's also direct integration between Drupal and Jitsi Meet, so you can actually call from your website and combine that with apps and so forth, since it's just using an API and any subservice can do the same. And recently there was a new proof of concept between Rocket Chat and Nextcloud, meaning that once you have your userland and your contacts within Nextcloud, you can directly start chatting in Rocket Chat. That's something that's slowly developing and getting to a better level every time that we see at it. So the, that's a pattern, and that's something which, in my opinion, is really, really important, because in that way, working together with different open source communities, we can make a total your own extra solution, which is non-proprietary, meaning that you can change the software, you can manipulate the software. And I tell my clients, no. We're using these open source packages, and we're providing a good solution on a German data center with the best privacy layers. And thus you will be the one who decides who has access to what. There isn't any leakage with the virtualization system in Google or Amazon, no. You'll decide it, and once needed, everything can be used again in these public clouds, but grabbing the keys out of the private and then using it in the public cloud. Yeah, so this one. This thing is really fast. Okay, so now we get to the life changes. What happened, Flores? You got a job. Yes, I did. Last month, I applied for a job, and I'm going to be community lead for Rocket Chat, meaning that I will perform about the same function as Rachel Lawson did for the Drupal Association and the Drupal community, meaning that I'll try to connect the internal development team with the surrounding ecosystem working on the Rocket Chat, and then from there to other open sources and to other entities and companies that actually took the Rocket Chat and made their nice SaaS product on it without contributing anything back. So my goal and mission is to continue doing what I've been doing for 12 years and actually get paid for it and not travel out of my own pocket. I think that's a win-win situation. So for looking at the Rocket Chat, what is this? It's built with a MongoDB database, so there's a Mongo community involved, a direct TypeScript React community involved in order to get the software and the apps up to par. So those are the two focal points to look upon. Then there is already known integrations with CMSs like WordPress, Drupal, and so forth. Integration with Office application like Google, Microsoft, but also Mautic, which is free and open source. And I made a mistake because Mautic isn't there yet. And Mautic is here. Haha, so I have a mission. Talk to the Mautic, try to get some people working together in order to make this integration possible. Meaning that if you are chatting with omnichannel, you have all these people that you engage with, you can send them to the Mautic and in there address them to the proper channels so that they can continue to enjoy your services. And then there is this API stuff coming along. Currently, this omnichannel talks with the WhatsApp and Facebook and messengers and all this is all covered. Currently, the matrix is being integrated. There's single sign-ons, which is really important for corporate companies. They have their LDAP Active Directory or they have their Google IDP providers. And there is experiments going around with machine learning, AI, and chatbots. And no, there is no full-fledged solution which works for everything, and we come to that later, because I think it's not smart to look for one full-fledged solution that covers everything, because it's just impossible. Anyway, going back to social engagement, what we do, I try to do it as little as possible, is go for this one. And like, tweet, retweet, hashtag, LinkedIn post, and so on. And each time we do that, you get a little bit of self-satisfaction. It's like a tiny of Coke, which you put in your nose, which works for a very short time. And after, you get addicted, and you want to do it more and more and more and more. So, bots are currently doing that. There's currently machines that you can buy, and in there you put 30 USB sticks. And with these USB sticks, they have telephone numbers, and telephone numbers make profiles, and profiles interact. So currently it's hard to see, hard to know which one is a real person, which one is a bot, and it's actually being used in order to make fake news, drive campaigns. So it has good and bad sides. That's why we have these two bots here, the evil bot and the Jedi bot, or the good bot. So in the end, it's all about sorting and validating and classifying data. These things come in streams, and the smarter or the better your solution is addressing that, the more value you end up at the end of the chain. Looking at the open source free bots, there is a ubot, which is made in Node.js TypeScript. And then there is a RasaBot, which is a Python-based bot, pretty strong on the non-hierarchical, so getting a bunch of stuff and trying to make some sense of this stuff. And then there is BotPress, which has the fancy UI, and it's mainly about this tree of logic. So you come in for help, and then you have these basic questions, and then you want to have some kind of lead generation, a follow-up, and in the end, the question is answered or relates to a human that's taking a script and might behave like a bot as well, or not. So in an example of this Rasa, what happens is that it has connectors to connect to about anything, which could be a proprietary Microsoft bot framework, a Twilio, custom connections, Mattermost, Rocket Chat, Slack, Facebook, and so on. The cool thing is that you have one engine. It could be a cluster of multiple Rasas, but they all collaborate around the same subject matter. And you can connect them and relay those messages between the different types. So what we did, we added another thing on top of there. This is ubot, which is a middleware built upon ubot. Then it's got a MongoDB rules for the hierarchical solutions, and you can plug in anything. The disadvantage of a BotPress is that with the free and open source, you can only use it for one one channel, one services. So in this solution, I can just clink in multiple bot processes and still have my functionality. And what we did is it listens on slash and specific triggers. And in these triggers, everything at the bottom gets connected. And at the top, there is currently two adapters. So you can plug it into Rocket Chat and you can push it to Slack. There is already integrations between Drupal and Rocket Chat and between Slack and Drupal, as far as I've seen. I didn't test the last one, but still, this is something, if you want to play around open source with different kinds of open source bots, it's a nice one to take a look at. Also, if you want to help out and maintain, there is positions open. So, going from a bot to a scale, adding more complexity and more, oops. Are you sweet? Yay. So a bot is an autonomous thing, which has like a script or a tree that has been followed, or it has a simple QA. So if I want to know the birthday of Flores, he will say, it's 88977. Some basic information is provided. That can lead to a chatbot. And that it has the way to understand human language, regardless of the language, dependent on how much different translations there are. And then it can follow the same script. So it's pretty easy. The next level is to get to an AI assistant, meaning that there is some kind of artificial intelligence. Who knows here what artificial intelligence is or is supposed to be? Yeah. I think it is making the best sense at a huge bunch of randomness and automatically addressing which of this randomness could be something that is around or following the truth, or at least the truth within your perception. And in the end, if the things are crystallized and actually validated by humans that they work, like human bot QA testing, making statistics on how much of these questions were actually solved, customer satisfaction, and so forth, you can call it a skill. You can say, okay, I have a chatbot skill that can answer any question around problems with Drupal's views component, something like that. So it's a very narrow-minded skill, and you can reuse and plug that in any equivalent, same types of questions and answers. It's not a universal solution to everything. Then we jump to Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is Java software. Personally, I'm not really fond of Java, but yeah, that's just a flavor. And it's able to have a good relational database and show that in a real fast search results. So in comparison to Mongo, which just has a huge big table, this one is able to utilize the relations between the objects. And that's also what makes it strengths, because you can align metrics data with Elasticsearch and Kibana. Most of you might have heard about that stuff, and make more sense about it. There is plugins for Elasticsearch that can do artificial intelligence or can do machine learning, natural understanding. I didn't manage to get them like all installed and working. I played around with a little bit. I was submitting this one 3 years ago before COVID, and meanwhile a lot of other interesting things came by. So sorry, I don't have a demo. Anyway, in the end, one of the most important features is that it can talk JSON. So the APIs are having a data structure, and it's not so hard to map between one API and the other API to match your data and to have this data flow from one system to another. So for Drupal, this means there is one module which is suitable. It's the Elasticsearch Connector. Link is in the top right. And with that, you can have this integration. And as far as I understood, it also works well with the Facet API and that great search component of Drupal. So for natural language processing, NLP, why would you want it and why use it? So it's one of the core parts of the things that we do every day. We talk with each other and we understand each other due to the fact that we have a common set of language, common set of words that both understand, so we can express each other. A computer is not so smart as the one up here, because in here we've learned it from a baby with the mama papa until the level that it's academic or techno babble, and except for the people within that realm that know the same words and meanings, it doesn't make sense to other people. You have it, huh? You have Siri on your iPhone. I turn it off. And there is Alexa and Google Echo and all these little boxes that sit around the house and respond to certain triggers and actions of the sound that they receive from all around. And yeah, that data is freely available. It was sent to the cloud, it's been processed, and you get it back in text. I didn't find yet a full-fledged open source. There is a Russian proof of concept around these kinds of natural language implementations, but it's not fully fledged yet. But I expect that soon, 2, 3 maybe years, these kind of subsystems actually work for full open source. The Mozilla is having an experiment which comes about the farthest of them all. Anyway, getting that link back and using these kind of services within chatbots, within AI, that can make an attempt to actually respond to the message and find from a database a solution to the message, where hopefully in the end user doesn't notice the difference if it's like a real person answering the question with a script, or it's an automated answer, or it's actually somebody who's been taken to really fix the problem, like the second or third line of support. All this data, if you collect it and if you make a big database out of it, and if you human value it, you can address it and make a subsystem that actually gets it done, fix it. We see this technology already applied within spam filters, even in open source. Most of spam is just filtered out these days. And you see it back again, which is a big asset for Elasticsearch, because you can get it in your facets, and that means that you can do your search within your Drupal from the Elasticsearch, and on top of that, apply spell checking, autocorrections, suggestions. So these systems become context aware and might be able to actually understand the total sum of the text which we put in. And from there, obviously, there is many more ideas and solutions to be thought up and to be practiced. So going back to modern NLP, in basics, NLP is all about seeking patterns on, from traditionally, it's from the dictionary. So you have dictionary words, and these dictionary words get marked, identified, and counted. That's actually all of it. And the big input in there is plain text. So that's the actual text which has been set in, as well as a huge amount of reference texts. You can think about the Wikipedia or maybe whole internet if you have enough computing power. All the public available texts on the internet could be part of such a natural language processing solution finding system. These things are counted, so it's a natural occurrence of the words, and then humanly steered. So it's compared to hand labeling the data, giving value. Okay, these words could come up a lot, but they're just filler words, so they're not really that interesting to use in constructing logic. So currently it's going faster than we want to. Alexa and Google and the other ones, they have huge sets of data, since they're spying on everybody at the same time, which brings the ability to actually make some sort of sense in there and help out. And you can also train these bots. So we go back a little bit in history. One of the first ones to actually make sense is Elmo. You will be seeing a lot of Sesame Street characters in the coming 4 or 5 slides. So it's embedding from language model, and it's word embedding, and it's tagging, and it works on a character level so that you have a schema where things are identified, tagged, but then that's it. So from the statistics, there is some meaning presented that's then validated upon humans, and with that system, machine can learn. In the 2018, Google launched this BERT, and BERT has the ability to flip things around. Where's that one? Oh, okay. Or it's 2 or 8? No problem. So what it does is I'm going to the store and I'm buying 1 liter of milk. There's 2 blanks in there, the store and milk or liter. Doesn't matter. And with that, you give the bot use cases where it can detect, okay, this has nothing to do with me going to the store and buying milk, so it's false. And if it has a level of assumption that it's actually talking about the subject where it is rules working on, then it starts counting, and then it starts adding up value for this might be the good answer to this question. And obviously when there's 1, there come 2, and a lot of more. So this is like every time there is a new Bert, Ernie, Kermit, yeah, they're all called like that. I don't know why, but they do. And it's just another variant on the same thing. Getting data in, tagging along, processing, comparing it with false negatives, false positives, re-evaluating it again, up to the point that you say, okay, this is actually making sense, and this is actually answering the question at hand. So that led to this whole Sesame Street. And yeah, from Google and other sources, you can continue to see, okay, what's working for me. There we are. So this is the one that I moved wrongly. So instead of analyzing everything and then tagging along, what you do is you give it a preset of definition. So this is the first to fill in the first blank, second in the second blank. Well, that's actually true. And it has nothing to do with running to buy a perfect of milk. It doesn't make sense. But the computer doesn't know that yet. So it's got this from a predefined set, which could be automatically generated, fed it to the model, which leads to that it actually knows, okay, which sentence makes sense from that point of view. He bought a liter of milk, which is totally not the same as the man went to the store to buy a liter of milk. But the computer is able to, or the system is able to find out that, okay, these things match. That's a truth. If not, then it's about penguins that are flying. Nope, not at all. So recommendations. I have no proper solution that works for everything, like said in the start. But there's 3 things which, in my opinion, are really important. So avoid solutions that cover everything, because it's impossible. And pre-baked scripts, like a tree, solution tree, that's one solution for actually answering the most common stupid questions or smart questions. And the other way around is, okay, we have a big set of data, and with the big set of data, some automating shifting, so automated valuing is done. Humans take over, check if that's okay, maybe something needs to be changed or revalued or added. That could also get to certain solutions. And then on top of that, the more you connect data points to other systems, the more value can be achieved, as long as these connections actually make sense. Because, yeah, else it doesn't really matter. So these are these little devices. We've seen in the morning, there was a presentation on Amazon in Drupal. It was pretty interesting. And I should have checked which happened tomorrow to recommend that one. but you can see it in the program. Anyway, now going to something completely different. I've been playing around in the office in the house with little devices built upon Raspberry Pis and Arduinos. I didn't get everything because I don't have a dog, but I did get some automation in my house and played around with that. And I really enjoyed and fond on the open source style of that, the open source techniques, and that you can just change and manipulate and add rule sets and solutions for any of these types of home automation, interaction, and at the same time, the online world and the on-site world, they can meet. These data they can transition. Instead of having a type chat channel, you have a message broker, and these messages float around between the house and your website or whatever system. And with that, it's not so hard to actually connect the physical world, and the online. And with that, also operators, logic, actions, triggers, and so forth. So I'm also up for another new challenge. I bought a house together with my wife. So that's this one little house here. It's 150 square meters, and then this whole premises is 10,000 square meters, and there's 2 big halls that stay. The rest will go down due to asbestos in an old building. So that remains with 750 square meters of space to play around with. Okay, what you gonna do with that amount of space? And there's glass fiber internet, because for me that's essential. Without internet, I cannot work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to do mushroom farming, not the special type of mushrooms, but the special type of mushrooms that you can actually eat and cook with. Think about canterelles or the oesterzwammen or something equivalent. It's not so hard to make them as long as you're really working clean. And another thing that I want to add is aquaponics. And aquaponics is a combination of growing fish and plants. So what's actually happening, the fish are pooping, and the fish poop gets transferred into nutrients, and the nutrients are being fed to the plants. The plants grow and flourish, and then you remain with clean water to feed, to use for the fish to swim in, and the process continues. There's one little downside, is that the big substrate, big stuff that comes out of fish poop, yeah, it's waste. And we don't like waste. So the plan there is that I combine the waste of the fish with the horse manure of the horses of my wife, add some compost on there, put some worms on there. End product, whoa, the perfect compost for your home garden, as well as new food for the fish, because the worms gotta go anywhere. Okay. So how does this work? There's a nitrous cycle. Like I said, poop makes ammonia. Ammonia is eaten by bacteria. That goes to nitrate, nitrate, nitrite, and nitrat. Those two, those are eaten by the plants. And in the end, you have your plants, and the circle is round. From there, it's all, for me, it's all about connecting more and more and more. So not just Drupal, or other open source events. I'm also interested in electronics, technology, and so forth. It could be even a great example. In Germany, they have an actual camping. So you go to a Drupal event with a tent, and there is no venue food. So maybe there is a cooking club that wants to join up with that event. So these types of collaboration, sharing can increase and become better than the single parts. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to highlight a few upcoming events. One is actually pretty soon, 25 to 29 April 2022. It's the Nextcloud Hackathon, sponsored by the European Commission. There was one for Jitsi Meet 3 months ago, which was a lot of fun. We joined as well. And in here, it's about connecting Nextcloud, improving functionality. Nextcloud is also just PHP, so you can also join that. And the graphical components, it's Vue.js. So yeah, that's something might be of interest, and I would love to see teams forming, connecting maybe Drupal to Nextcloud, or taking a component and improving on there. Further, we see that quite soon there is Drupal Jam in the Netherlands, which is really close by. And as far as I remember, I'm not sure if the call for papers was extended a little bit, but at least you can join up. And this one is the Reunite edition. It will be again in the Fabriek in Utrecht, which is a great venue because they have good space around and there's food and drinks all day. And yeah, we can meet up with all the community and at the same time visit some sessions, do some buffs, continue some sprinting and have a great time. Another one to highlight is Mountain Camp. This year it's not in winter. It was last year, before COVID, not last year. It was in the winter, so I could combine two of my favorite hobbies, snowboarding and Drupal. But yeah, it's a great thing to visit and attend to. Then there is another one coming in Poland and in Zaragoza in Spain, Drupal Camp Spain. It's all May, June. And there is a camp planned for Kiev, but I'm not sure if that one will actually go by. However, there is a group in the community in LinkedIn around supporting Kiev, and there's also great initiatives, one from the Netherlands, from Open Social with Twente for Kiev, where they have huge trucks and they fill it with all kinds of goods and ship them off directly to their counterpart in Lviv, and they spread it around to the people who actually need it. So yeah, I'm really, I don't like that. I want to go as well. I was there in 2018 and 19, and it was a really great camp. Also quite big, like 500 people. Then obviously we all heard about it and it's coming DrupalCon. You can still submit your sessions before the 19th of April. Even if you never gave a session, but you have a great topic, send it. All right, then I'm here. I'm not that fully responsive. I'm slacking on the Slack, but you always get an answer within 24 hours. And further, you can find me on Drupal Chat, which is also Rocket Chat. And I have Twitter and LinkedIn. And this is the last slide. So if there's any questions, we should have like 10 more minutes for questioning, answering, debating. You can throw this thing around. Yeah.
So first question, were you in my talk?
Sorry?
Did you were here in my talk as I was presenting about design thinking documentation? No.
No, but I was just here outside working on my slides, so I heard certain parts of that.
Because I just want to agree you, because I use a different open source software all the time. Yeah, in my talk I was talking about using a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Using their some visual programming language, also using there we just go with Alexa. Yeah, but I think we just make some research, and there's one thing, it's called Mycroft AI, which is a device, and it's this one is open source. And I also have done a project where we are using Rasa with Drupal and building a chatbot, and also using Neo4j for graph database and connecting it with the chatbot. So the chatbot is just looking up in the graph database, looking for some synonyms and so on. And yeah, just want to agree that.
I also love Neo4j. Yeah, it's really great. Even though it's Java, it's really great.
Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, okay. So I don't have a question.
No, but then I'll ask a question back. Can we maybe get some idea what the next level on top of this would be?
The next level?
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. in my opinion. So, uh, uh, what next level? Next level on an organizational level or on a technical level?
Let's stick with the technical level. Currently, everything is able to connect with everything,
Yeah.
which could lead to utter chaos
Yeah.
or some kinds of mycelium-like streams that actually connect and exchange the data and
Yeah.
make things flourish.
Yeah. So my future vision is like I have something like an semantic AI assistant. Yeah, it's looking up my calendar, for example. It's booking my taxi, my Uber, I don't know. Bring me to the venue, booking my hotel. So maybe I have a cough or something. So my smart device is tracking it. So because of my heart rate, I don't know. So it cancels my. I have a presentation, so it canceled my presentation with an automatic email. Hey, sorry, I can't come, and so on. So this is my future.
Yeah. So that's great to hear. So there's a personalization, integration, and the more stuff that makes sense for you to connect, the better your solution. We have time for one or two more questions. Just seen 5, so. Nope. Yes.
You really don't like Java, do you?
Well, as long as it's up and running, I'm fine with it. But if I need to debug it beyond the traditional DevOps, where I take the logs and I reboot the system, and then, yeah, if the internal components are malfunctioning, I'm not capable of fixing that. Within Drupal PHP, I can still, from the logs, go to some error handling and get things working. But yeah. And on the other hand, that it's a matter of scalability. If you have a big credit card and you have your Amazon, it's fine. But if you want to do it on a limited amount of resources, then you have to cope with memory heaps and bandwidth and getting everything streamlined. So it's nothing personal. And it's also a recurring thing. Yeah? It used to be Java versus PHP, and currently we're talking about JavaScript versus PHP. One common denominator, PHP is still around. Any other questions, remarks, ideas, complaints? Now is your time. If not, somewhere at the bar. Okay, thank you very much.